Hello,
Hello out there.
everyone. Hello, the internet. Welcome to the Musical QuaranStream with Glen and Bri. I am Glen,
And I'm Bri.
and yeah, we're the Musical QuaranStream.
We have been since March.
Yes.
Getting a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
We have been in quarantine and doing this QuaranStream since around St. Patrick's Day. It sounds like we got a little feedback here.
Yeah, we're good.
Alrighty. So we have just been sharing our love of musical theater.
Yes.
And bringing it to kind of the world at large, and hoping y'all, if you don't have anything to do on Wednesday nights or Saturday afternoons and you're hunkering to go to a stage show, we try to match that time with our TV program, and we talk about what makes musical theater and live theater and communication with performance great.
Yes, and we have a lot of fun. A lot of people pop in and out of our chat, and we always appreciate seeing them show up.
And mostly people we know, but
Yeah.
if you are here, somebody who does not know us and have stumbled across this stream, I guess Fortnite and Minecraft are not here, but or if you have found us on YouTube, we hope you like it. It's
Yes.
basically just a talk show about theater. And we hope that you'll join us in the conversation. What you see on screen is our Twitter handles.
Yes.
Feel free, if you like what we say, don't like what we say, have a comment about any of the musicals we talk about, you can feel free to tweet at us. You can feel free to buy us a coffee through Ko-Fi. You can feel free to comment on the YouTube portion, or if you're in our chat, be like Carl Jr.
Yes.
and say hello. Welcome.
Hello, glad to see you in the chat room. And we also have a bookshop. You'll probably see the link for that pop up on the screen at some point during the show today. But our bookshop has a lot of the stuff that we talk about that we have pitched adaptations for before, and a lot of the things that we've talked about that are the reference material, I guess you would say, for a lot of the discussions that we've had and things like that. So, and of course, there's also stuff there for my YouTube channel, which is the Film Optimist, which if you're watching us on YouTube, this is actually archived on the Film Optimist's channel. So, and we've been doing a stream since, what is it now, the end of April, beginning of May?
No, pretty much right away.
I was saying of pitches.
Oh, well, I don't know when we started the pitches. Pretty early on.
Yeah.
This started as a channel where we talked about shows that we had been in, but I guess, I feel like I'm not that young. But I guess being that we are pretty young, we have not been in that many shows, so it's quickly developed into just talking about musicals at large, and we kind of figured, there's a lot of other channels out there that talk about musicals at large.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them that we watch, and a lot of them that we follow on our own. And we decided that maybe doing a pitch type of show might be a little bit better. There are folks out there that do pitches all the time, actually create original musics and shows and stuff like that. And I know there's a few of them that are on YouTube and on Apple Podcasts, and we're more or less the talky type.
Yes.
We had to find something that was easy to do. I've been working on and off throughout the pandemic. Glenn a little bit less so, but still has some obligations with earning some money, and so being able to talk about pitches was really kind of like the first step, and hopefully it inspires y'all to kind of create your own musicals, or hopefully it inspires y'all, if you got some money for creating some shows, to give us a hire and a look. And I know Glenn would really love to write from home, so.
Yeah, well, a lot of this really began, the idea of pitching began with, I drive Bri to her job every morning that she works in her office. And our conversations on the way, we would listen to musicals and we would start pitching ideas to each other of, you could do a musical about, you could adapt this to a musical. Sometimes it would be like a serious discussion of, oh, let's do a show like this. And other times it would be like, it would start as basically riffing on a joke of, hey, what if you did this show as a musical sort of thing. So we were like, well, we do a lot of this sort of like talking back and forth about what our ideas for shows are. Why don't we give it a try.
Well, at least record it in a place that we can find it later.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very appreciative for our audience, but it's not getting a big cult following over pandemic or anything. So this is still pretty much just a personal, maybe time capsule, as it were.
Yeah, but if anybody discovers it, that is also fine.
Yeah, it's more than fine.
Yes. But so let's see. Do we have any big artistic experiences we want to talk about from this past week, or?
I mean, I haven't done much more since our Wednesday conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not me, said the phone. Essentially, I've just been going back to work in the hospital. There's a lot of like major kind of concerns going on with school is starting back up on August 17th in my area, and I think that we're all just kind of hoping against, but preparing for if there's going to be a burden to the hospital in October. So, before this, I think Riff Tracks is streamed on this channel, and they were saying that they're going to have all of their shows in October, and I was like, ooh. I mean, I hope they can. I hope we are all wrong in our worst case scenarios.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We hope you guys manage to get those shows up and going in October, but yeah, at this point, I think they've said that Google is advising their employees to prepare to work from home through at least summer of 2021.
Yeah, it's gotten real bad. There's about 5 million infected people just in the United States. Almost 160,000 people have died from COVID-19. There are evidence of the first pets dying from COVID-19. There is evidence that children transmit the disease faster than adults. There's just a lot of things that we're learning. I think I just heard from one of my physicians that I work with that permanent hair loss is a big thing with it. Developing other diseases such as Guillain-Barré syndrome and stuff like that is a really big thing with it. So it's very, very scary. There's a lot of residual effects that will be affecting us really for the next, lifetime. I mean, at least the next 5 years, if not the next decade. So it's something we really need to take serious. I don't really know how much more we're really going to get from state or federal governments, which is really kind of sad for us here in America, because there's other countries proving that they can do it and they're taking care of it. But I feel like we can control our actions, and we can just remind everybody, wear your mask, wash your hands, stay 6 feet away from each other. The distance really does help. Don't go out unless you really have to. I mean, I think more and more of us are finding out that we really have to, which is, kind of unfortunate. There's also a lot of places that unfortunately have been affected by the coronavirus that have shut down since we started back in March. So maybe some resources that we used for the first shutdown in March and April really aren't going to be available if we have another one in September, October. So it's just getting to a lot of breaking point, according to a lot of economists and social studies scientists. I've been listening a lot to NPR, where they have Planet Money, and they have Throughline and a whole bunch of different things saying, like, we found out this week this is worse than the Great Depression. And I remember being a little girl hearing about the Great Depression from my grandparents and thinking that's my worst nightmare. And it's come true. And we're doing okay. Yeah. We're doing the best we can, but it is unlike anything else that we've seen. A whole third of our economy just evaporate, and with no plans to really help the millions upon millions of people who cannot have a job. I know that one of the things that they're trying to say is, well, if we stop paying people this unemployment, they'll just want to find a job faster, but there's no jobs to be had. Jobs are gone, and that's because things really didn't move quicker back in March, unfortunately, and we just have to live with the consequences and try to see what we can do. One of the most interesting things I remember about that chart showing from the 1960s till now is us old people, or us youngins, we're right in the middle, so I guess it could be either. Our little economic chart, I don't know if you noticed this, from 1980 till now, we're we didn't have all those nice big ups like they did in the
No.
60s and 70s. Now, granted, there was a whole bunch of big downs, but my mom the other day, I was talking with her, and she's like, "Oh, I don't remember why it was so hard for you to find a job when you graduated." And then she took 2 minutes, and she's like, "Oh yeah, 9/11 happened." And then she was like, "Oh, and then when I decided to leave grad school, oh yeah, 2008 happened, the Great Recession." So it's a lot of these things that I think our generations just have had a really unique experience as opposed to maybe former generations. And I think that's why when I was advising, I was trying to tell people, you kind of have to figure out how to make your own way and what levels of risk and disappointment you're willing to kind of like live with. Because I don't think, at least in the near future, any of us are going to do... I would love to be proven wrong. I would love to be like my grandparents and doing fairly poorly, getting through the Great Depression and then doing well, but I don't have a lot of optimism about that, despite being on a channel called The Film Optimist. I think I'm optimistic about people. I think the current people that we have to rely on to fix those types of things, I'm not optimistic about those people.
Well, and it is, talking about the economic trend in our lifetime and everything. Bri was talking to me the other day. You were talking to me yesterday.
I talk to him all the time.
Yes, about, she was like, you know what movie I just thought of recently where I was like, I could watch that. That would be a fun movie. The Chipmunk Adventure, which was...
I got great taste in movies.
Well, hey, it's not a bad movie. It's a kid's movie from the 80s when...
It's very nostalgic, right? It's kind of all those tropes from the late 80s, early 90s where it was, foreign-sounding villains and Miami Vice colors and, like, hit music.
And, like, diamond heist sort of plot lines. Kids on their own taking a hot air balloon across the world. It's a fun movie. So I was like, oh, well, let me see if I can track us down a copy of it. I went on Amazon, and just a few minutes later, I was like, so, honey, used DVDs of the Chipmunk Adventure are selling from anywhere from $85 to $400. Like, it's not in print, and it is, like, ridiculous the price that it's getting on DVD.
I feel like between Artie the Smarty and this movie, we got a good retirement thing going.
And you said something that I liked a lot, which was you said, a lot of people in our generation had very happy childhoods and are in the middle of very sad adulthoods. Yeah. And then I posted on Twitter about what I had just done, and one of my friends came back and was like, I think he said it's like trying to find Little Nemo in Slumberland on VHS. And I quoted him the thing you said. And he was just like, this is Sparf, who is also on Twitch, SPARF, if you want to seek him out and follow him. I quoted you to him, and he was just like, now I'm looking at the wall of retro video games behind me. And weeping.
Yeah, I kind of always joke. I have my original American Girl dolls. I was really fortunate when I was a little kid. My parents bought me the first original 3, and then I think Felicity was the 4th, and so I also got the 4th American Girl doll. So I had Kirsten was first, and then I think it was Samantha, and then I think it was Molly, and then I think it was Felicity. So I had those, and I kept them in really good condition, and I actually sewed a whole bunch of new clothes for them, and I have all the books, and so that's kind of my sad joke is if I ever need money when I'm an old person, I can sell my original American Girl dolls. Now, currently, I should also state, I don't have them here. My dad is holding on to them for me.
Yes.
Because he spent the money.
Yes, they're his investment as well. So.
Yes.
And I have always talked about the fact that I have a massive collection of DVDs and Blu-rays. Because for a while there, while I actually had some money, I was buying movies and TV shows pretty much compulsively. And it was like, oh, I'd kind of like to watch that one. Boom. It's there now. And it covers the wall in most one-bedroom apartments that we've moved through. And I think once a few years back I ran the value of my collection based on resale on Amazon for all of the titles and everything. And it came out to being worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $45,000. And of course, that is not here either. So,
well, I also feel like the better value out of that. This is just my opinion.
Yeah.
The better value out of your collection is we do have stuff like the Chipmunk Adventure in that.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
we can watch things that are no longer available to the public or not on streaming services.
Yeah.
But I have been through enough Goodwills to know that there is a lot of VHS and books that I think are great, but are just kind of garbage now. So,
yeah. And it is, I don't want to get too off on the topic because we have a pitch for today.
Yes.
And it's my turn to pitch too, so let's... But it is the thing that we've talked about a lot between us, is the value of physical media. Is that if you're relying on, say, Netflix to have a complete run of the show that you're watching, Netflix can lose that show next month. Depending on how their contract goes for it, they can just lose it. It's gone. You don't have access to it anymore. If you have it on physical media, theoretically at least, nobody is going to break into your house and smash your copy of it on physical media so that you can't watch it ever again. So,
well, at least not the copyright owners or the manufacturers. No. I mean, a burglar might.
A burglar might. They might walk in one day, take a look at my DVD collection, and be like, "This guy has Acapulco Heat Season 1. What is he thinking? Smash, smash, smash." And that's the end of that.
I took it a bit more dramatic. I was like, that DVD killed my father!
Star Trek 5! Ah! All right. So, we should probably get into our pitch today. Huh?
Can I tell one more funny
story?
Go
right ahead, yes.
So, speaking of dramatic reactions to stuff, we have cats. You have seen them. At least you might have seen Lola on a couple of these shows. I was looking up little toys for cats because we're thinking of doing an Amazon purchase because we need some cat litter, we need some cat vitamins, and I thought, oh, well, you know what? I have a $100 gift card that I'm going to cash in, so let's just see what can I round this up to get $100. So I found a little cat toy, and it's a little rainbow, and I thought, oh, this is cute. And I look below the picture on Amazon, it says, would you like to see this in your home? And I was like, you know what? Sure. So I scanned my floor, and we got to see what a cat toy would look like in our home.
Yes.
It looked like all the other cat toys currently on our floor, but I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my whole life. But I totally get it when it's furniture. That is definitely a thing I have looked on Amazon for. I get it. And Glenn said, well, they've never asked me if I'd like to see the DVD I'm ordering in my home. What if I don't have space for it? So I'm going to recommend everybody the, Amazon in your home challenge. Feel free to look up a piece of item, maybe a cat toy, maybe a DVD. See if Amazon offers to show it for you in your home. Let us know your experience. I thought it was the funniest thing. Now, granted, this was 10:30 last night, and I came home from work, and it was raining. But I still think it's hilarious, and I had a good 20-minute laugh about it.
Yes, and you can screenshot it, tag us on Twitter. There's our names down there. And we would love to see what you were looking at to see how it would look in your home from Amazon. So,
a bag of rice. I would just love to see what Amazon considers as valuable to know how it would look in your house.
Yes. I'm trying to think now what else there could. I don't think they offer that for any of their books either.
I don't know. I mean, I did not expect to see it for a cat toy, but there it was.
Maybe I want to see what a book will look like in our home, propping up the leg of a chair before I buy the book, Yeah,
what if we want to buy Nicole Byer's new book and have it as a coffee table book? We need to see what it looks like on a coffee table.
Yes. And in short, Amazon, we love that you put the cat toy on View This in Your Home. Do that with everything now. everything.
The least you could do. If you're not going to redistribute the billions you made over the pandemic, at least entertain us.
Yes. All right. So
now to the pitch.
So we've been doing fringe shows.
Yeah, and just as a quick reminder to everybody, in case this is the only show you've tuned in and not our other two, we're looking at fringe shows because in the off chance that theater comes back, it's going to come back in a much smaller format, we believe. It's not going to be these big Broadway houses where every seat needs to be filled in order to pay back investors. It's probably going to have to be in a space where maybe it's under 99 seats and a smaller cast. And so we thought, what already does that? And that's like Edinburgh Fringe shows.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, what shows would we pitch as a musical and as a fringe show? It allows you to have a smaller budget, a smaller cast, a smaller audience, but a lot of creativity and imagination.
Yeah, and it's especially going to be important too because not just what you said about the shows will have to be smaller so that return on investment, but also nothing is currently being really developed in rehearsal or preview right now because of COVID-19. So you're going to have to really get a jump on developing new shows in front of audiences. So.
Well, and as a good example, you've talked a lot about how the NBA, the WNBA are having a bubble.
Yeah.
And maybe having kind of a fringe festival, small little fringe festival might be kind of a good bubble.
Yeah, I'm going to put this out there. Any streaming service that wants us to curate an idea like that for you, we know a lot of playwrights in addition to being playwrights ourselves. And there's our Twitter tags down there. We could definitely, Disney Plus. We could be put up in a bubble in one of your hotels and put together the Disney Plus Fringe Festival for you. You seem to have done really well with Hamilton. Give us a shot. Anyway, so my pitch for today, sort of bouncing off of Bri's pitch this past Wednesday for CSI, the musical. I am a longtime fan of one of the longest living franchises in police procedural history, which is Law and Order.
And my mom went to school with Dick Wolf.
Dick Wolf, lawyer, turned novelist, turned legal thriller writer, kind of like John Grisham, who then, in around 1989 or so, was brought in by NBC, and they said, hey, how would you like to create a TV show? So in 1991, let's see, I've got a cheat sheet here, because I was like, I'm gonna, mess up dates and character names because the show ran forever. 1990. The show debuted on NBC, and it was, on the one hand, Dick Wolf had this idea of he wanted it to be like a modern Dragnet. Where Dragnet was always this very by-the-book sort of, we looked at the police blotter, we looked at the police notes on these cases, and we didn't really add anything to it. That's why people, think of Sergeant Friday and that Just the Facts Man, very low-level energy. That was an intentional thing on the part of the producers of Dragnet to be like, we're not trying to add additional drama to the story. We're just trying to show people what happened. Dick Wolf had the idea of, well, I want to do a show like that, but let's make it a little more tabloidy. Instead of, hey, we're looking at real police cases and presenting real police cases, let's do the tabloid TV version where we look at the headlines and then we imagine our version of the story. So that was the first thing he brought to this idea of police procedurals. And the second thing was splitting each episode between the law enforcement agents, so police on the streets, detectives, and the prosecutors, the district attorney's office. So every episode of Law and Order begins with, you have the discovery of a body for a murder or the discovery that a crime has occurred. police detectives run around and question people, make an arrest, and then you go into the trial. And the second half of the episode is the trial. Along the way, the show, like I said, became a huge franchise. The show itself ran from 1990 to 2010. It came within 1 year of being the longest running primetime series on television. It was canceled 1 year before it would have actually hit that point of being the longest running series. It has multiple spin-offs. Some of them succeeded. Some of them fell apart.
You talk to the camera. I'm going to get a drink.
Okay. So, you have Law and Order. The series, in its second year, introduced the character of Lenny Briscoe, played by Jerry Orbach. And for a lot of people, Lenny Briscoe really is Law and Order. So, Jerry Orbach, longtime Broadway star, originated a lot of very popular Broadway roles. It seems kind of natural to me, hey, let's make a musical parody of Law and Order here. And I think I have a story that, like, centers Lenny Briscoe and gives him a fitting tribute, both for the character and for the performer, Jerry Orbach, as well. But like I say, Jerry Orbach came into the series, and for a lot of people, he really became Law and Order. So he became the single longest running character in the show. They switched out district attorneys, assistant district attorneys. They switched out, he went through a marathon of, welcome back.
Yes.
Yes, he went through a marathon of junior detectives working with him. And Lenny Briscoe is just this constant that people tune in. It feels weird to tune in and see an episode of the series from before Jerry Orbach joined the cast.
And he never sang on the show, I don't think.
No. There was never... Most of the Broadway folks that you see appear on television, at some point, they're like, well, they're a singer. Let's have an episode where they, like, sit at a piano and sing. As far as I remember, no, you're right. Jerry Orbach never actually did that.
He sang when he was guest stars on other people's shows.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I posted on Twitter a couple of days ago in preparation for this. Jerry Orbach, the same year he debuted as Lenny Briscoe on Law and Order, appeared on the Oscar Awards singing Be Our Guest because...
Which won the Oscar, I think.
Yeah. Because he was the voice of Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast, which is that's the trivia question everybody knows about Jerry Orbach, is he was the quote unquote old cop on Law and Order, and he was also Lumiere in Beauty and the Beast.
And to ring in the Broadway trivia, Patrick Page was Lumiere on Broadway, and he was also Hades in Hadestown.
Oh, there you go.
He was also the Green Goblin in Spider-Man.
Well, they can't all be winners.
Still a nice guy, apparently,
yes,
though.
Yes.
We don't know him personally, but he seems like a nice guy.
The shows can't all be winners. I wasn't saying he's not a winner. I was saying the show... Spider-Man did not turn out well for anybody in the cast.
But in this house, we love Jerry Orbach.
Yes.
And Glenn even, here's a little trivia about Glenn, sings Try to Remember.
Yes.
For an audition song.
Yes. One of my audition songs is Try to Remember, which is a song that Jerry Orbach originated that role in the Fantastics.
Yep.
I think that would have been around about the time that he was still kind of like a young actor at that point. Yeah.
Yep. Playing a dad. I mean, I think, like, I can totally understand why he and Angela Lansbury had such a friendship, because they seemed like young actors who always got asked to play mom and dad.
Yes. Jerry Orbach, some other roles that he had that, of course, are kind of iconic. He's in Dirty Dancing. Mm-hmm. He's the one who puts baby in the corner.
He's a dad.
Yes. He was the original Billy Flynn from Chicago on Broadway.
All I care about is love.
Yes. Which, again, I also posted a video of that on Twitter. You can see him from a televised Tony Award doing a striptease as Billy Flynn.
That's what he's here for.
Yes. He was an actor who had an amazing presence. Not just a good singer, he could own a stage. And at the same point, he could own a camera. And Jerry Orbach, I remember just a couple of years before he retired from Law and Order, he was actually asked about, how long do you think you'll play Lenny Briscoe? And he said, at this point, he's like, this is my job. I love this job. I don't see why I would ever do anything else. They're going to have to carry me out on a stretcher. And that's pretty much what happened. Because he initially left Law and Order because he was struggling with, I believe it was lung cancer. And when he was in recovery, he returned for Trial by Jury, which was a spin-off of Law and Order. And unfortunately, during the production of that series, he very suddenly relapsed and passed. But he genuinely was somebody who loved this series enough that it took his life being at risk for him to leave the show. And the instant it looked like, well, I might actually make a full recovery, he was like, how do I get back on it? So he really is sort of the heart and soul of the franchise. You have, of course, lots of other fantastic actors played detectives and lawyers along with Jerry Orbach. Jesse L. Martin, who was in...
I'll cover you.
Yes, in the original cast of Rent on Broadway. And
is now on The Flash.
He also appears in The Muppets Letter to Santa as a singing postal worker. Jesse L. Martin, phenomenal performer. We're both big fans of his. He worked with Jerry Orbach on the show. That for a season or two there, I believe it was. For a good long overlap, it looks like. The detective team that Law and Order always followed was Briscoe and Green, which was Orbach and Martin. And I always loved those episodes. I love finding those episodes because it's two Broadway guys being like, and now we're detectives.
Well, I feel like they always had that vaudeville duo quality, right? Where it was just like, even when they're both the serious guy in the scene, it was always like, okay, who's the straight man? Who's the who gets to play a little more and chew some scenery?
Mm-hmm. You had, of course, Dennis Farina as well, was somebody who was brought in after Jerry Orbach left the series to try to sort of continue some of the dynamic. And you had in the prosecution team, you had Michael Moriarty, phenomenal character actor, did the first few seasons of the show. Then Sam Waterston came in, and Sam Waterston is almost as, I would say, beloved a part of the franchise as Jerry Orbach.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why he does so well at the insurance commercials. Yes. I feel like old people trust him, but he's also, he does Grace and Frankie. He's right there with Jane Fonda, kind of going to these protests, getting arrested.
Yeah.
Which is why it's also so funny that it's like Fred Thompson. It's like they pick the two most opposite ends of the political spectrum to work in the DA's office. Well,
I hate to bring up politics as part of the pitch. But there's a couple of things we need to address here if we're going to talk about Law and Order. First of all, I think it is somewhat troubling to me that Bri just mentioned Fred Thompson. Fred Thompson is right here on the screen while I'm talking. Fred Thompson took over as DA after Adam Schiff, the actor who played Adam Schiff, passed. And in the series, they wrote out the character of Adam Schiff by having him pass as well. Very unexpectedly, if I remember the story correctly. And there was an interim DA for a while, and then Fred Thompson, who had just left his job as an actual Republican senator, came in as DA Arthur Branch, who was depicted as the much more conservative district attorney. where Schiff had always been liberal. Ben Stone was a liberal character. Jack McCoy was a liberal character. Here's suddenly Arthur Branch conflicting with everybody because he has conservative views on things. Michael Moriarty is still alive, still very vocal, still very liberal. And Ben Stone, his character in the universe of Law and Order, has been killed off screen. I believe that they said that Ben Stone passed from a heart attack, but in Law and Order SVU, they had the characters attending Ben Stone's funeral. Meanwhile, Arthur Branch, Fred Thompson has left us. He is no longer alive. So he's unable to reprise the role of Arthur Branch, unlike Michael Moriarty, who would be able to reprise the role of Ben Stone. And the fate of D.A. Arthur Branch in Law and Order is he is now the state attorney general for New York. So he's still a very prominent part of the series, and it always kind of struck me as very weird politically that the conservative character is elevated at a time when the actor is no longer available to play him, while the liberal character, the actor is still available to play him, but let's write him out of the series completely so he can never come back.
Well, were you the one who told me about the Stephen Sondheim connection?
No, I don't think so. I think you were...
Good,
mentioned
then
it
I can talk about that.
Yes.
So, as Glenn was talking about, there is this character named Ben Stone.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a very famous character in Stephen Sondheim's Follies named Benjamin Stone, and it's because I think Stephen Sondheim and Dick Wolf were friends, or something like that. Like, Stephen Sondheim really, really, really likes Law and Order and was really influenced, and so Benjamin Stone, makes a really nice melodic, theme, and so so it's kind of Law and Order influenced the name of a character in Follies.
and Dick Wolf did. I don't know if he specifically does it, but the production team on Law and Order definitely really loved pretty much anything entertainment in New York. Mm-hmm. So I remember a scene during the Briscoe and Curtis years.
Oh, you know what? I think I got it backwards. It's like, if I'm thinking correctly, is Dick Wolf stole Ben Stone as a name for a character from Follies. Yeah. This is why I need to have lunch before I do these.
See, and I didn't even catch that. I thought you did say it that way.
Nope, I didn't.
But
made a mistake.
Detectives, Briscoe and Curtis, which Briscoe, of course, Jerry Orbach. Curtis, Benjamin Bratt, an actor who's a very good actor and deserves a better career than he has had. And I say that saying he hasn't had that bad of a career. He just deserves better. I remember specifically, there is a scene toward the end of Benjamin Bratt's time on the show where they go to speak to a suspect. And I believe in the show, the suspect was a white supremacist. They show up at the doorstep, and the concierge of the building leans out and starts talking to them about, why should I let you guys in? It is almost word for word the scene from The Producers with Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel trying to get in to see the playwright who's written Springtime for Hitler.
Oh my.
And the entire thing is done with Benjamin Bratt looking back and forth between the woman leaning out of the window and Jerry Orbach with this expression on his face of like, is this really happening? So they love to put in little bits and pieces like that. And I think that all of this makes this
prime musical candidate.
Prime musical fodder. So I wanted to take a look at this.
With approval by Dick Stone.
Yes.
Or
Dick Wolf.
Oh, Lord. It is summer. It's really warm in here. I'm wearing sleeves, and I'm trying to drink a cool beverage, but I'm not contributing much to this conversation, so I'm going to let you just pitch.
And in all honesty, I would love to have Dick Wolf's approval for this and, be able to say it's the official Law and Order musical. But what I'm pitching today is a parody. So it doesn't even need permission. It just needs, if you're interested in financing a comedy show.
You're talking about Law and Order. This man knows some copyright law, IP law.
Yes.
That's this guy. Do you think it would be safe to go on stage and not get sued or shut down? Ask Glenn. In fact, ask Glenn at his Twitter handle. If you do have a question about mounting a show and is it legal, Glenn probably could find out the answer or already knows it.
Yes, I am not a lawyer.
But he knows
Legally, nothing I can do can constitute legal advice, but I can sort of point you in the direction of the research you need to do. So,
I wish you pulled up the dun-dun. We could do it before you start your pitch.
Oh, man, the dun-dun. That would have been great. For those of you who are not familiar with Law and Order, you've probably at some point heard the chung-chung sound effect. That was the hallmark of Law and Order. It's supposed to be like the judge's gavel in a courtroom, but it's very distorted and echoey, and that plays during major scene transitions on Law and Order, and it's just it is iconic. You can't think of Law and Order without thinking of the chung chung.
I think also the theme song.
Yes.
The theme song is pretty up there with iconography.
Yeah.
Do 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 do.
Very, very jazzy, very... Yeah. Can I just really... I keep distracting myself from my pitch, but... So, another phenomenal television series based on police work. The Wire. The first time I watched The Wire, I had been watching my way through Law and Order on Netflix. So I was back in the 1990s. I was watching 1990 Law and Order, where the computers on the detectives' desks still looked like computers from the 80s. Mm-hmm. Still looked like they were working on a TRS-80 or something like that. You have the green text on a black screen and all of that. And then I watched the first episodes of The Wire, and the police officers had the same type of computers on their desks. And somebody turned around and said to another person, "You can't even get online on these things." And I stopped and I'm like, oh, that's right. The Wire is set after 2000. I was like, this is the Baltimore Police Department was not technologically savvy.
Well, or technologically prepared, because, Baltimore's kind of has its rich areas, but it's a much more impoverished city than I think you would talk about, like D.C. and the way that it is. And so I think that that's really kind of an important distinction to kind of make, to say, like, hey, money was not going to Baltimore PD.
And it is fascinating to me looking at Law and Order in the years through Law and Order. The original series stays looking fairly consistent in the way the police department is handled. You start seeing more computers, more modern computers on detectives' desks and things like that.
Still focusing on the people.
Yeah, but it's still very much like these are the old buildings in New York that you expect when you walk into a police department. You're going to see the older office layouts and all that.
Well, because they're not creating any more property.
Yeah.
You get what you get.
But the funny thing to me is Law and Order is like that. Law and Order Criminal Intent, kind of like that. All of the other Law and Order spin-offs. Law and Order SVU. At a certain point, they had like a storyline where the department, the office for the department, needed to be demolished. And they came back the next season, and suddenly it's like smart boards, holographic projections, giant screens all over the office. And I'm like, oh my God, this is... Am I watching the militarization of the police on SVU? Mm-hmm. Am I watching, we have all of this Pentagon technology now?
I mean, probably not for SVU. Seeing how many places in this country that the sexual assault cases are not even taken seriously,
Yeah.
or the rape kits are not even gotten through. So,
as far as SVU is concerned, that feels very aspirational.
yes, yes.
That feels like, oh, we're going to take these crimes seriously on this show in the hopes that one day people will take these crimes seriously in real life.
Yeah, I really think that that's what it's trying to do.
Yeah. So I'm going to try to speed this up and stop getting distracted from everything I'm saying. But that slides very nicely into the second thing, whereas, like, you have to acknowledge this with Law and Order, which is the topic that has come up a lot recently in discussing media about police, of propaganda. I love Law and Order. Law and Order is a big part of my history with television. It's a big part of my exposure to a lot of these great actors and sort of learning to pick up character actors and learning what a character actor does. A lot of this is tied for me to Law and Order. I could pick up and watch just about any Law and Order. The earliest seasons of SVU have not aged all that well, but just about any series of Law and Order, you could show me an episode and I will sit down and watch it because I love this series so much. It definitely is propaganda. Because propaganda, for those of you unfamiliar with the term, is basically media that makes the police department look more effective and better than the actual numbers suggest it is. So, Law and Order, police have a very high level of cases closed on Law and Order. Even if the prosecution doesn't always succeed in Law and Order, very rarely do you see a story where it's like this detective is unable to hand over to the district attorney somebody who has actually committed the crime. That doesn't square with actual numbers on urban police departments. A lot of murders go unsolved. As Bri just said, in terms of sexual assault victims and things like that, a lot of rape kits go untested. A lot of cases get swept under the rug. And that's not saying the people who are doing this are evil, but it's a thing that needs to be acknowledged about the police system that we have. Law and Order does not acknowledge that.
If you want to listen to another take on this, just real quick, there is the NPR show, if you go to NPR podcast, called It's Been a Minute, where actually they talk about how Cops recently got canceled, and then they moved into whether they thought Law and Order would get canceled or not.
Yeah. And Law and Order, other issues in terms of how they depict the police officers, very rarely do they depict police corruption as a problem that genuinely needs to be rooted out of the system. Usually when Law and Order concerns police corruption, it's seen as one precinct is dirty, one detective is dirty. And that's an issue as well, because it doesn't...
Or I've also seen internal affairs is dirty and all cops are good.
Oh, yes.
And internal affairs are just trying to pin this on cops.
Oh, that is a running theme in Law and Order, is internal affairs being the guys who show up to get in the way of an investigation. When, in fact, internal affairs they're there to try to make sure the police work the way that they're supposed to work. So, but anyway, might seem like a very heavy topic for, I'm going to do a parody comedy musical based on this series that I love. But I feel like the answer to this plays very much into what I would want to do with a musical of Law and Order, and that is Reefer Madness, the musical.
Reefer Madness, Reefer Madness.
Specifically, I think of the finale for Reefer Madness.
I love. Gotta tell them the truth. Everybody gotta know. No.
Yeah, which leans hard into the propaganda element of movies like Reefer Madness. It leans hard into being able to laugh and poke fun at, now looking back on it, the idea of these shows that are like, we've got to tell them the truth about drugs, when it's not telling them the truth about drugs at all. And very archly acknowledging that, I feel like there's room in a musical of Law and Order to sort of lean into, this is the idealized version of the police that you're seeing. This is not what you genuinely see from the police. This is the idealized law and order will take care of us all sort of thing. So my vision for the play, let's finally get to this. Rolling up my sleeves.
If I know he's serious.
My vision for the play, I would want to go full out Star Kid, like early Star Kid with this. My version of Law and Order is a down on his luck rookie police detective who feels unsure about himself and is he right for this new job. Makes friends with the spirit of Lenny Briscoe, a ghost who is inhabiting the precinct he works at, which is the Law and Order Precinct. All right? And Lenny Briscoe in the afterlife is still Lenny Briscoe, but he's Lenny Briscoe with sequins and a swagger stick. He's Lenny Briscoe the Angel. He's now Broadway musical theater Lenny Briscoe, with plenty of musical numbers and tap dancing.
Police school dropout.
Yes, exactly. Police Academy, yeah. So this is Lenny Briscoe from beyond, is coming back to his precinct because I got one case I never really finished to my satisfaction, and you got to help me with this case. So you've got the rookie police detective teaming up with the spirit of Jerry Orbach.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Also, and we gotta go get a hot dog at the corner of 45th.
Yes.
It's like, no, I don't like. I'm a vegetarian. I eat halal. I don't want hot. No, we gotta go get a hot dog. That will finish my destiny.
I feel like that would be a great moment of like Lenny Briscoe. Oh man. Lenny Briscoe is like, the young rookie cop is like, I eat halal, I can't have a hot dog. Lenny Briscoe is like, oh, let me tell you, everybody up here keeps kosher. We're still gonna go get a hot dog, you know?
Because that's the other thing I always remember about Jerry Orbach is he always had to go get a New York style hot dog.
The street food was important. Yeah. I used to listen to this podcast about Law and Order, and one of the things they said, which is true, is that the eating scenes in Law and Order are almost as important as the courtroom scenes.
Yes.
It's that much a character in the show. So you've got Lenny Briscoe coming back. He's solving this case. And you have the rookie detective who's kind of like trying to channel the information from Lenny Briscoe through to his superiors and trying to help him figure out the case and everything.
And I would love it if they're just like Lenny Briscoe, like the guy on TV, like Jerry Orbach. They're just like, that's not a real cop.
And he's got to like
the spirit.
He's got to like get the character in place. He's got to like, how am I gonna, I'll just walk in and tell them the ghost of a TV detective told me that this is where we need to look. No, I can't do that. He's got to work his way through it. And you get a lot of musical numbers. You get you gotta have the musical number that's the guy who's unloading the truck. Yeah. Because in Law and Order you always have John Mulaney made a routine out of this, but everybody from Law and Order, everybody who has watched Law and Order knows this scene. Homicide shows up. They're interviewing a guy about a violent murder that occurred. A body was found up the street with its feet cut off and its hands cut off and all of this. And as they're interviewing the guy, suggesting openly that maybe he did it, the guy is still unloading boxes from the back of a van. Because it's New York City, you don't stop working for anyone.
Yeah. Well, what I also think is funny is, like, if he goes and he tells his, like, police chief or whatever, he's like, Lenny Briscoe, that TV detective, oh my God, not another one. It's like the 12th rookie that has been, like, seeing this ghost, and he's like, you just gotta let it go, and he's like, no, I'm the one that's gonna do it.
All right, but here's the thing. You gotta set it up as Law and Order. So, first act is gonna be the crime scene, the investigation, everything like that. And you talked about the iconography, the iconic like sunglasses in CSI. Lenny Briscoe making a crack about the dead body. That is iconic from Law
And
and
I
Order.
think like the rookie's starting to wear like a trench coat because who wears trench coats anymore? But no, he's going to.
Yeah, the whole thing is like he's acting more and more like a Law and Order cop, and then Act One would end with him surprising everybody by actually making an arrest and having like evidence for the case and everything, and everybody being like, "This is crazy." You come back for Act Two, and you go into the courtroom drama element of Law and Order because you got it. That's how Law and Order works.
Mm-hmm.
So you have now the police detective working with the DA's office. You have the new EADA, the new person who's taken over, and you have a woman in the role. Kind of, you can have sort of a little bit of romance between them, especially when halfway through the trial he finds out she's been working with the ghost of EADA Ben Stone, who also was really upset that this case was never solved. So now you have Ben Stone introduced as a character, and you have the Michael Moriarty figure and the Jerry Orbach character getting to interact, along with the romance between the detective and the EADA. As you work through the police case, and they've all four got to work together to make certain that justice is done and a conviction is finally turned in.
And they get that hot dog.
Yes, absolutely. Well, once you've moved into the courtroom scene, you don't get the hot dog. You get the Chinese takeout. Yeah, you got to have the EADA and the detective sitting around the office eating Chinese takeout. That's how it works in Law and Order.
Yep.
So you build up the story and everything, and then your finale can be like Law and Order triumph, just like they always do in the real world. Oh, isn't the TV series a lot of fun?
Highly approved.
Yeah, so I think that this could be a very fun show. That's a very, very skimpy outline, but to me, it's one of those cases of, in my head, it writes itself. Like we just talked about, getting a hot dog at the corner. That's a musical number in and of itself. The guy unloading the truck. Jerry Orbach's opening joke. That sort of thing. It all plays in really well, and I feel like it has that Star Kid quality when you think of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
This is a play about, isn't it? This is a play about dedication and duty and love and friendship and learning to open yourself up to other people and work with them and just talk things out, get things solved. And also there's an element to it of these police shows are not at all realistic. Maybe we should stop acting as though every police officer in the world is Jerry Orbach. And I think that has a lot of opportunity for a great fringe show.
Perfect.
All right.
Perfect. Well, we just solved all the world's problems with that one show. Please let us know what you think down in the comments or in our chat or tweet at us.
Yes.
We talked about CSI last week. We talked about Law and Order. What other, maybe police procedural or maybe just kind of formulaic TV show do you think would make a great fringe musical show?
Yes, absolutely. And would you want that show to look like it does on television, only on stage with music? Or would you take it in that direction of like total out and out parody? We'd love to know that idea in your comments as well. So I think that's it for today's show. So we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. It means a lot to us, whether you're joining us live on Twitch and participating in the chat, or whether you are finding us later on YouTube. We want you to take care of yourselves. Take the current situation seriously. Wear your mask, social distance, stay in as much as possible. We want you guys to stay alive and be safe, all right?
Yeah.
Yes, and then Barney Miller as a musical. That would be a fun one. Barney Miller has a lot of good characters for a musical. And I guess all that's left to say is until next time, take care of yourself, because we're not there to take care of you.
Bye.